annual Garden State Film Festival. This year, there will be 200 films from over 14 countries screening the weekend of March 21st to the 24th of this year. I'm your host, Emily DeSimone, and I'm here with co-director, co-editor, and cinematographer Micah Seidel, co-editor, co-director Angela Cott, and co-editor, co-director Natalie Radu of the short film Life on the Edge, exploring New Jersey's coastal ecosystems. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Can we give our live viewers a bit about your film?
Sure, who wants to go with that one?
Oh, I'll take this one. So this film kind of talked about how different actions that we do as people impact a wider ecosystem. So our film talks about how oyster farming, typically rack and bag oyster farming, affects the natural ecosystem on the Delaware Bay. So we talk about horseshoe crabs and seabirds called red knots and how both species are impacted by how we cultivate food.
Yeah, so and to expand on that, the horseshoe crab, the rack and bag oyster farming is a type of farming of oysters where they're in these bags and the bags are put on the shoreline. And so there was concern at a point whether or not horseshoe crabs could traverse the area through the bay and up to the beach, which is where they lay their eggs. And the red knots care about that because they eat the horseshoe crab eggs, and that's a big part of their food source. And so we follow scientists as they're researching that problem.
Yeah, something we really wanted to emphasize with the film is kind of the power and potential of when scientists and the public and lawmakers are all having these conversations. And it was particularly exciting because it was literally down in Cape May here in New Jersey in the Garden State.
Yeah, so I actually did spend about a year living on the Delaware Bay, like down in Cape May County. So you're talking about this and I'm seeing it as it happens. I remember it's the red knot bird that comes during like the one time of year and they eat the horseshoe crabs, but people will like mess around with the horseshoe crabs as well as others will come and take lots of pictures. So this is like, I'm following 100% exactly what is going on. Okay, so what got you guys into this?
Well, we did this as an independent study we are all undergraduate students at Rutgers, and we did this as an independent study in agriculture and food systems under Dr. Zania Morin. And just to give credit where it's due, the opportunity to make this film was provided to us by Dr. Jim Simon, Dr. Oscar Schofield, Dr. Daphne Monroe, who's one of the stars in the movies, and Dr. Dave Bushak, with funding from the Rutgers Center for Agriculture, Food Ecosystems, and the New Year's Agriculture Program. And yeah, so we did that as an independent study, all three of us.
I myself study agriculture and food systems too, so I definitely was looking for ways to communicate more science topics to the general public. So one thing that we learned through this independent study was the power of like communicating science through film, because especially for a lot of young people, like movies are more digestible to like do information than reading an article. So that's kind of one of the reasons we were doing the independent study as well.
Yeah, I came into the project kind of with the same idea. I had actually been making these short, like YouTube style documentaries about food systems, particularly related to indoor ag tech. So when we had this opportunity to literally go down to Cape May and talk to these scientists and these farmers that are literally impacting the food systems that are literally here in New Jersey, it was just such an incredible opportunity, and we were really excited to just get that chance.
Yeah, we were all able to go down to the Aquaculture Innovation Center in Cape May and film and we stayed overnight and we filmed and interviewed them ourselves. I had filmed footage there previously in 2022, but going up there all together was really nice, and it really was a great experience.
I mean, like, that's actually so interesting that you guys, so you don't have a background in film and yet you came together and made this project and submitted it and you were accepted into this film festival. Congratulations. That's awesome. So I mean, like, this was a project for you in school?
Yeah.
Did you get an
A? Well, it was an independent study.
Yes.
But yes.
Okay, so I mean, what was it about, like, was this like something that you guys were learning about in class, or did you have to pick a topic, like you were given like a couple different topics to pick from? Like, what drew you to Cape May specifically for this specific issue with the horseshoe crabs and the red knots? Or was this like, a department-wide thing, everybody was, doing this?
Well, so I guess I'll start. So the researcher, Dr. Daphne Monroe, who is was doing this research, she's part of Rutgers, and we came in contact with her and learned about the research she was doing and thought it was really interesting. And it's also just like, it was interesting research, but it was also meaningful because it had it was like seeing whether or not these species were coexisting, which for the record, they are. Like oyster farming does not ultimately impact the horseshoe crabs, and there's actually great coexistence there. And it was a great story to show like that there can be coexistence in food production and natural ecosystems.
I mean, this is clearly like a big enough topic. I mean, because a lot of the times you might live somewhere and not really know what's going on around you. But I mean, I was only there a year, and I was able to just see everything going on. Everybody knew about what was going on. So this really is a pretty big, pretty popular topic for the people that do live on that little peninsula. I guess it is the peninsula of like South Jersey. So, I mean, with this being your first work in film, what was it like for you guys to make a film? Like, what were the challenges and difficulties that you ran into? If you can each pick, one thing that you thought was a challenge that, made you really perhaps stronger if you were to choose to do something like this again, make a documentary or a study.
If I can take the lead on this one, I think a big thing that I personally realized throughout this journey was this, like, there's so much like hidden work in making these documentaries or movies in general, because what the viewer sees as like a seamless, wonderful end product takes hours upon hours of pre-planning and also just sitting in front of the computer, and you edit it one way and it took hours to do it, but then you're like, no, that doesn't look good, and then you redo it from scratch. So kind of the whole, like, I guess the intensity of just like to make a 15-minute film. I think there was one day we were literally in front of a computer like 10-11 hours straight, and
Yes.
the thing was like, yeah, crazy, but it was such a good experience to be able to learn and also to have such a wonderful team to kind of bounce off of. So I think, yeah, that whole thing of like the hidden labor aspect of it, and also just the process of getting the movie out.
Yeah, especially as a science student, like I didn't have much experience with editing softwares or cameras, so that it was new technology, new like skills, like we had to like also host interviews in a way where like all the scientists used their own words. We never gave them a script or anything, but we did have to prompt them like general questions, and that in itself is a skill that is like important, like even outside of film, but it was something I'd never done before. So it's amazing how much, like Natalie was saying, goes into producing a film that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, like, since we don't want to do any of our own voiceover in the movie, we want the scientists to speak for themselves, because like that's kind of so rare a lot of the time. Like scientists don't really speak for themselves, like, are they very, science writing is very objective, and we wanted to kind of put the personality back into it. And so like just not knowing what you wanted out of a shoot and just like shooting for like 4 hours and just like letting them go and just like explain things, and then afterwards you cut it down, rather, because if you go to it with your own idea, it's going to come up feeling flat. And I have actually made documentaries in the past as well, and this was the first time that I was kind of doing it as an independent study with a group of people, and it was really nice to have a team like these two to bounce ideas off of. And also Dr. Zania Morin, who we did the independent study with, was really helpful in like giving feedback. And yeah.
No, I mean, like, so this is really cool. So, okay, so you have a bit of experience like working with like some film editing stuff, and then like Angie and Natalie, this was like really new for you. So coming from those two different dynamics, what was your favorite part of putting this
Well,
together?
Natalie has made some stuff before also, but
yeah. You have. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, you're good. I had this like hydroponic farming YouTube channel for a while before that. So I had come in with a very like DIY movie making approach opposed to anything like more formal. But it was definitely a great learning experience still. Angie, do you want to answer first?
Yeah, I think the teamwork itself was amazing. I feel like we worked great as like a trio, the Wonder Trio. But yeah, I think also it was kind of fun because we all did have different levels of experience. Like it was kind of cool to put together a project where we each brought something to the table that was a little bit different. Like I had more agriculture experience than the other two did, but a lot of them had more technical experience. All of them had more interviewing experience. Like Natalie was so good at putting together those interviews. She comes in clutch, but yeah, that was cool. It was just nice to be able to come into an environment where we have a plan, but we all have different skills. So how to put that together is important.
yeah, a lot of it is working with people, like not just with like your fellow editors and directors, but like with the scientists, because you really want to form like a trusting relationship. Like you really want it to be like the scientists trust you to tell you things and to give you information and access, and then in return you have to portray them honestly, and portray their research honestly. And the honest truth from like what we were learning is that like they put hours and hours and years into this research. So it's like really want to give that credit.
Well, guys, I mean, this has been so much fun. I feel like I could interview you for at least 45 minutes. It's such a shame that I can't, but I'm so excited to get to watch your film. And will you guys be at the film festival this year?
Yes.
Awesome. So, I mean, maybe I'll get to see you there. I sure hope that I do. You guys, you can check out Life on the Edge, exploring New Jersey's coastal ecosystems at Asbury Lanes, Sunday, March 24th during the 12 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. block. Micah, Angela, and Natalie, really, this has been such a pleasure. And I can't wait to see you at the festival where there will be 200 films screening across 8 venues, including hosting parties, panels, events, and more. Guys, you can get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. I'm your host, Emily DeSimone, and it has been so cool getting to interview people that are kind of outside of the TV and film realm, because it's just great to get those different perspectives. So thank you guys so much for joining me today, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.